Go. Her voice comes through the door, low and sharp, like it has been used too many times. The child doesn't move. Small hands stay pressed against the wood. I'm hungry. The words are flat, almost tired. Inside, the widow grips the handle but doesn't open it. You were here last night. Silence follows, but the child stays. I'll be here tomorrow too. The answer comes quick. Too quick. The kind of answer that doesn't care about threats. The widow exhales slow, like she's holding something in her chest that won't settle. You don't listen, she asks. I do, the child says. A pause. I just don't go. The words land heavier than they should. She pulls the door open just enough to see him. Dirt on his face. Shirt too thin. Eyes too still. Not begging. Just waiting. You got a name, she asks. The child shrugs a little. No one uses it. Another pause stretches between them. The widow studies him like she's looking for something she lost. Then I won't either, she says, quieter now. The child nods once. No smile. No relief. Last warning, she says. I'm still hungry. He doesn't blink. Her fingers tighten on the door. Something in her face shifts. It isn't kindness. It isn't anger. It's something older. You think I'll just feed you every night, she asks. Yes. He says it like it's already decided. Like he's not asking anymore. She opens the door wider. You don't get comfortable, she says. I don't, he answers. He steps in slow, careful, like he knows houses can change their minds. The floor creaks under him. The widow closes the door behind him harder than she needs to. The sound echoes through the small house. Sit. She points to the table. The child looks at the chair like it doesn't belong to him. I don't sit at tables. She doesn't hesitate. You do now. He climbs into the chair awkwardly, like his body forgot how. She sets a plate in front of him. Bread. Cold meat. Nothing special. He stares at it for a second too long. Eat slow, she says. I don't know how. Then learn. He eats anyway. Fast at first, then slower when he sees her watching. The widow leans against the counter, arms crossed. She doesn't take her eyes off him. You got people, she asks. No, you sure? Yes. The answers come clean. No shake in his voice. That bothers her more. You wander into the wrong place, she says. This is the right place. He doesn't look up when he says it. The widow stiffens. You don't know that. I do. Silence fills the room again. Thick. The kind that presses against the walls. You planning to stay? She asks. You told me not to get comfortable. That's not an answer. Then no. He chews slowly now. Careful. Watching her without turning his head. She notices. You got a habit of staring? She asks. You got a habit of lying? The words hit quick. Her jaw tightens. Careful. You said you live alone. I do. No, the child finally looks up. Their eyes meet. You don't. The widow pushes off the counter. You talk too much. You hear it too, don't you? His voice drops, softer now, but clearer. She steps closer to the table. Hear what? She asks, but there's something behind it. Something she doesn't want answered. The child tilts his head slightly. Listening to something she pretends not to hear. The steps, he says. At night. The room goes still. The widow slams her hand on the table. The plate rattles. Eat, she says, louder now. The child doesn't flinch. He just keeps eating. You don't ask questions here, she adds. I didn't ask, he says. Another pause. I told you. Her breathing slows, but her eyes don't soften. You think you're smart? She asks. No, then what? I think you're tired. That one lands deeper. She turns away for a second. Just a second. But it's enough. You eat, then you leave, she says. And tomorrow? Don't come back. The child swallows. I will. She spins back toward him. Don't. I will. The words hang there, stubborn and quiet. The widow studies him again, longer this time. Like she's trying to understand why he isn't afraid. You don't scare easy, she says. I do, he answers. Just not of you. Something shifts again. Small. Almost nothing. But it's there. She looks at the empty doorway behind him, then back at the child. Finish the plate, she says. Her voice is lower now. Less sharp. Then we'll see. The child nods once and keeps eating. Slow. Careful. Like he plans to stay longer than she wants. And for the first time in a long while, the house doesn't feel empty. Drink. The widow pushes a tin cup across the table without looking at him. The child stops chewing and takes it with both hands. Slow, she says again. I am. His voice is softer now, like the house is pressing it down. He drinks carefully, eyes still moving around the room. The widow notices. You don't need to study my walls. They're already looking at me. He sets the cup down. No sound. Too careful. She exhales through her nose. You say strange things. You hear them too. No, the answer comes fast. Too fast. The child doesn't argue. He just nods once and keeps eating. That quiet agreement bothers her more than if he pushed back. She turns away, opens a drawer, closes it again without taking anything out. You always knock on doors, she asks. Only this one. Why? Because it opens. The widow lets out a dry laugh that doesn't reach her face. It didn't yesterday. It did enough. He tears another piece of bread, smaller this time. The floor creaks behind her. She freezes. Just for a second. Then she keeps moving like nothing happened. The child watches her back. Someone else is hungry, he says. She grips the edge of the counter. No one else is here. Then why do you cook too much? His voice stays calm. No accusation. Just a fact. She turns slowly. You watching me before tonight? No, then how do you know? I can tell. From what? From how you don't eat. That lands hard. She looks at the plate. Half gone. The rest untouched by her. You talk like you belong here. I don't belong anywhere. He wipes his hands on his shirt, then stops, like he remembers something. Sorry. For what? Making a mess. The widow shakes her head once. It's already a mess. The chair across from him shifts slightly. A small scrape against the wood floor. Both of them hear it. Neither of them touches it. The widow's eyes flick to it, then back to the child. You did that? No, don't lie. I'm not. He sits still. Too still. Another faint scrape. The chair moves just a breath closer to the table. The widow steps forward fast, grabbing the back of it. Enough. Her voice is tight now. You don't play tricks in my house. I'm not playing. Then what is it? He looks at the chair, then at her. It wants to sit too. Her grip tightens. Chairs don't want. This one does. Silence spreads out, thick and slow. The widow pulls the chair back to its place, harder than needed. The legs hit the floor with a dull thud. Stay, she tells it, like she's talking to something that listens. The child watches her closely. You already know, he says. Know what? That it doesn't listen. She steps away from the table. You're done, she says. Eat what's left or leave it. I'll finish. He pulls the plate closer, slower now, like he's buying time. You don't rush me out, he asks. You want me to? No, then stop asking. He nods. The house creaks again, longer this time. Not a step. Something stretching. The widow presses her lips together. It gets louder at night, the child says. Everything does, she answers. Not like this. He leans back slightly, listening again. It walks from that room. He nods toward a closed door down the hall. Don't point, she snaps. Don't talk about that room. Why? Because I said so. You said a lot of things. He looks at her. Not all of them are true. Her eyes harden. You don't get to decide that. I don't, he agrees. It does. A soft knock echoes from somewhere deep in the house. Not the front door. Not the back. Something inside. The widow's face goes pale, just for a second. Then she straightens. Wind, she says. No wind tonight. You checked? I can feel it. He says it like it's simple. The knock comes again. 3 slow taps. The widow doesn't move. You hear that? The child asks. No, you're lying. She steps toward him, fast enough to make the chair legs scrape under him. You don't call me that. Then don't do it. He doesn't raise his voice. They stand there, close now. The air between them tight. The knock stops. Just like that. The silence after it is worse. The widow looks past him, toward the dark hallway. Then back at his face. You eat. Then you sleep here. One night. The words come out before she can stop them. The child blinks once. On the floor? On the floor. All right. He sits back down like it was already decided. And tomorrow, he asks. She doesn't answer right away. Her eyes drift again to the hallway, then to the chair that moved. Tomorrow, she says slowly, we see if you were telling the truth. The child nods and finishes the last piece on his plate. The house stays quiet now, but it doesn't feel empty. Not anymore. The child swallows the last bite and wipes his hand slow, eyes still on the table. The widow doesn't move from where she stands. You're done, she says, but it sounds like she's saying it to something else. Yes. He pushes the plate forward just a little. Where do I sleep? She points without looking. There. Floor's clean enough. He glances at the corner, then back at her. You don't sleep? I didn't say that. You don't. A beat passes. Stop telling me what I do. The chair scrapes. Not loud. Just enough. Both of them freeze again. The widow turns her head slow, like she's afraid of what she'll see. The chair at the table shifts back a fraction, then settles. No hands. No weight. Just movement. You moved that, she asks, voice tight. No, don't lie. I didn't. He stays where he is, hands in his lap now. She circles the table, slow steps, watching the legs of the chair like they might move again. You think this is funny? I think you're scared. The words land plain. No edge. Just truth. She stops beside him. I don't scare easy. You do tonight. He looks up at her, steady. Another scrape. This time longer. The chair pulls out a little more, like someone is trying to sit but hasn't decided yet. The widow reaches out fast and grabs it, dragging it back into place. Enough, she says under her breath. Enough. Her hand stays on the wood. It feels warm. Warmer than it should. What are you? She asks without turning to him. Hungry. That's not what I mean. I know. Silence stretches. The house creaks, a low sound from deep in the walls. You brought something in, she says. No, it followed you. No, he shakes his head once. It was already here. Her grip on the chair tightens. Don't say that. You know it. You don't know anything. I know what waits. He stands up now, slow, careful not to startle her. Sit, she snaps. No, you don't tell me no. I do if it's wrong. He steps around the table, eyes on the chair. Stay back, she warns. It won't hurt me. You don't know that. I do. He reaches out, fingers hovering over the back of the chair. For a second, nothing happens. Then the wood shifts under his touch. A small pull forward. Like it's leaning into him. The widow sucks in a breath. Don't touch it. It wants to be seen. It's a chair. It's not. He presses his hand flat against it. The chair creaks low, like a throat clearing. The widow steps back without meaning to. Stop, she says, but there's less force in it now. What do you want? The child whispers, not to her. The room answers with a soft knock from the hallway. One tap. Then another. The chair jerks slightly under his hand. The widow's voice drops. Don't talk to it. It's already talking. You don't answer. Too late. The chair slides out on its own. Slow. Careful. It stops as if someone has finally sat down. The air around it feels heavier. The widow stares at the empty space above the seat. No, she says. No, you don't get to come in here. Her voice cracks at the end. It never left, the child says. He pulls his hand away. The chair stays where it is. Waiting. Who is it? She asks, barely above a whisper. You know. Say it. I don't use names. He looks at her. You didn't want me to. Her eyes shine, but no tears fall. You don't get to do this to me. I'm not. Then who is? The knock comes again, louder now, from the hallway. 3 slow taps. The same as before. The widow turns toward the sound, then back to the chair. You stay here, she tells the child. Don't move. You'll go there? I have to. You don't. I do. She takes a step toward the hallway. The floor creaks under her weight. The chair behind her lets out one last soft scrape, like a warning. It's not done, the child says. She doesn't turn back. Neither am I. Her voice is steadier now. Not stronger. Just decided. The hallway waits, dark and still, holding whatever has been knocking from the other side. The knock at the door is not soft. It hits like authority. Hard. Final. The widow stops mid-step in the hallway. The child stands still behind her in the room. Another knock follows. Open up, a man's voice calls. Calm, practiced. The kind of calm that doesn't ask twice. I didn't call you, the widow says without opening the door. You don't have to, the voice answers. That makes her pause. The child tilts his head slightly. Listening. She opens the door halfway. The sheriff stands there, coat dusty, hat low, eyes already scanning the inside without permission. He doesn't smile. Evening, he says. You brought evening with you, she replies. He steps in anyway. Boots heavy on the floor. The house reacts with a low creak, like it remembers him. The child watches from the corner, silent. The sheriff notices him immediately. That him? He asks. He's not an animal, she says. Didn't ask if he was. His eyes stay on the child. You got a stray, the sheriff says. He's a child, she replies. Same thing out here when no one claims them. The child doesn't flinch. Just watches. The sheriff walks closer. Where'd you find him? He asks. The widow answers without hesitation. He found me. The sheriff lets out a short breath. That's not how it works. It did. He crouches slightly in front of the child. Kid, he says, softer now. You got people? The child shakes his head. No, you sure? Yes. No fear in the answer. Just fact. The sheriff studies him longer than needed. You lying? He asks. No, the child repeats. The sheriff stands again slowly. His jaw tightens. You know what walks around asking for houses like this, he says, not looking at either of them. The widow crosses her arms. I don't need stories. This isn't a story. He turns to her now. This is warning. The child speaks before she can. It's already inside. The sheriff looks at him sharply. What did you say? He hears it too, the child adds, nodding toward the hallway. The sheriff laughs once, but there's no humor in it. You hear things? He asks the widow. I hear a kid who's tired and a man who likes talking, she replies. That's not what I asked. His voice hardens. A silence spreads. The house creaks again, longer this time. The sheriff's hand moves slightly toward his belt, then stops. You feel that? The child asks. Shut up, the sheriff snaps. The widow doesn't move. He didn't do anything, she says. I don't care what he did. I care what he brings. The sheriff steps closer to her now. You don't keep something like that in your house. I decide what I keep, she says. Not anymore, you don't, he answers. The child speaks again, calm. You're late. The sheriff turns fast. Late for what? For it to leave. The sheriff's expression changes slightly. Not fear. Something worse. Recognition. You understand what I'm saying? The sheriff asks the widow, ignoring the child now. I understand you want him gone, she says. That's not what I said. It's what you mean. A knock echoes from deeper inside the house. All three freeze. The sheriff turns toward the sound. What is that? He asks. The widow doesn't answer. The child whispers, he followed me here too. The sheriff's eyes narrow. You brought it in? No, the child says. It was already here. The same words again. This time the sheriff doesn't dismiss them. He looks around the house slowly. You've been hearing it, he says to the widow. It's not a question anymore. She doesn't answer. The sheriff steps back toward the door. Listen carefully, he says. If I come back and it's still here, I don't ask again. The widow holds his gaze. You never asked the first time. That lands. He pauses. Then he looks at the child one last time. You keep him, you answer for it, he says. I already answer for enough, she replies. The sheriff leaves. No goodbye. Just the door closing harder than necessary. The silence that follows is heavier than before. The child turns slightly toward the hallway. He doesn't believe it, he says. He doesn't have to, the widow replies. It still comes for him. The house creaks again, low and slow, like something adjusting its position inside the walls. The widow exhales, long and controlled. One night, she says. That's what I said. The child nods. It's not done yet. The widow stands by the kitchen sink long after the sheriff is gone. Water runs but nothing gets washed. The child sits at the table behind her, quiet, watching her hands instead of her face. You didn't blink when he threatened you, he says. She doesn't turn. I've heard worse. From him? From life. A pause. The water keeps running. The child leans forward slightly. You had someone, he says. The widow's hand tightens on the edge of the sink. Don't start that. You did. She turns off the water too hard. The silence that follows feels louder. Eat your words somewhere else, she says. I don't eat. Everyone eats something. He shakes his head. Not that. She finally faces him. You don't ask me things like that. Why? Because I said so. That's not why. He doesn't look away. You lost someone. Her breath catches for half a second. Then she covers it. Stop talking. The child stands now, slow. You still talk to them. Her eyes harden. I said stop. At night, he continues. When the house is quiet. She takes a step toward him. You don't know anything about me. I hear you, he says again, same words as before. I hear everything in this house. Her voice drops. You're wrong. No, a beat. You go outside when it's dark. I don't. You do. He tilts his head slightly. You go to the graves. That word hits different. He sees it immediately. The widow moves fast, grabbing his arm. Not hard enough to hurt. Hard enough to stop. Don't you say that again, she warns. The child doesn't pull away. You bury things there, he says softly. And they don't stay. Her grip tightens. You're testing me. No, then what are you doing? I'm listening. A long silence stretches between them. The house creaks somewhere deep again, like it agrees with him. She lets go slowly, like the strength leaves her hand before she decides to release it. You don't go near that place, she says. Why, he asks. Because I said so. That's not enough. She turns away, walking toward the hallway, then stops. Her shoulders rise and fall once. Controlled. There are things buried there, she says without looking back. Things people don't come back from. The child is quiet now. Listening. You buried someone, he says. Not a question. She doesn't answer. Not just one, he adds. Still no reply. That silence is an answer. He steps closer. You go there every night, he says. No, yes. His voice is calm, but certain. You don't sleep. You check the ground. She turns sharply. Enough. The hallway behind her feels darker now. Not visually. Something else. You think pain makes you smart, she asks. No, then what? It makes you loud. He says it like it's simple truth. That lands harder than she wants. She looks away for a moment. Just a moment. Then regains herself. You don't belong in this house, she says. I know. Then leave. I can't. Why? Her voice cracks slightly at the end. The child looks at her carefully. Because you didn't either. That stops her completely. The house creaks again. This time closer. The widow's eyes flick toward the hallway instinctively. You hear that? She asks quietly. Yes, he says. It comes from there. He nods toward the back door. Her breathing changes. No, she says under her breath. That stopped years ago. The child watches her face now instead of the house. It didn't stop, he says. It just waited. A faint sound rises from outside. Not knocking. Not wind. Something dragging slowly across dirt. The widow steps back, shaking her head once. You're doing this, she says. No, you brought it with you. It was already in the ground. The sound gets closer. The widow's voice drops to barely a whisper. I buried it right. The child shakes his head. You buried it angry. That lands like a wound reopening. She turns toward the door now. Stay here, she orders. No, I said stay. It's not listening to you. She stops. That sentence freezes her more than the sound outside. A knock comes from the back door this time. Slow. Deliberate. 3 taps. The exact same rhythm as before. The widow doesn't move. The child steps beside her, not behind her. You don't open it, she says. I didn't ask to, he replies. The knock comes again. Stronger this time. The widow stares at the door. Her voice is barely steady. Whatever is out there, she says, it doesn't get to come back. The child answers softly. It already did. The back door stops shaking, but the silence that follows feels worse. The widow stands frozen in front of it, one hand still half raised like she meant to stop something that already passed through. The child is beside her, eyes fixed not on the door, but beyond it. It's not gone, he says. I know, she replies, but her voice doesn't sound certain anymore. A faint glow slips through the cracks in the wood. Not bright. Not natural. The widow notices it too late. She steps back. No, she whispers. That's not there. The child moves closer instead. It is. You don't know what you're looking at. I do. The glow pulses again, like something breathing behind the door. The widow grabs his shoulder hard. Don't go near it. It's already near us, he says. Another pulse. Stronger this time. The house creaks in response, like it recognizes it. The widow pulls him away from the door. Enough, she says. You listen to me. The child looks at her hand on his shoulder. You're shaking, he says. She lets go immediately. I'm not. A low sound rises outside. Not footsteps. Not wind. Something like water moving under dry ground. The child tilts his head slightly. It's going to the well, he says. The widow stiffens. Don't say that. It's already moving. She grabs a coat without thinking. Stay inside, she orders. No, that wasn't a question. It never is with you, he replies. They move out together anyway. The night air is colder than it should be. The land around the house feels wrong, like it's holding its breath. The widow walks fast, the child a step behind but never falling back. If you run, she says, you don't follow me. I'm not running. Then don't slow me down. They reach the edge of the yard where the ground dips toward the old well. The wooden cover is half broken. The glow is stronger now, leaking up through the cracks in the stone. The widow stops. This is not real, she says under her breath. The child steps forward. It is real enough. The well hums faintly. Not sound exactly. More like pressure in the air. The widow stares at it like it betrayed her. I sealed that, she says. The child looks at her. With what? With earth. Not enough. A pulse of light rises from inside the well, brighter this time. The widow steps back again. Don't look down, she warns. The child doesn't listen. He leans slightly over the edge. It's watching, he says. Who? She snaps. You know who. That makes her go still. The name never comes, but it doesn't need to. The ground around the well shifts slightly, like something pressing up from below. The widow's voice breaks just a little. He's dead. Not to it, the child answers. A sound rises from inside the well. Not a voice. Not fully. Almost like memory trying to speak. The widow clutches the edge of her coat. Stop, she says to it. Stop it. The sound responds with another pulse of light. The child speaks quietly. You didn't bury him alone. The widow turns sharply. Don't. You had help. I said don't. Her voice rises now. You don't know what you're talking about. The well goes silent for half a second. Then the light flares brighter, spilling onto the ground. The widow flinches. The child doesn't. It remembers, he says. She shakes her head hard. No. No, I buried it right. I did everything right. Her breathing gets faster. It should be gone. The child looks at her now instead of the well. You buried anger, he says. Not him. That lands deep. She steps back again, almost stumbling. Stop telling me what I did, she whispers. I was there, he says. Not then, she snaps. But you are now. The well creaks. Wood shifts. Something underneath presses upward again, stronger this time. The widow's voice drops. We're leaving. It's not letting us, the child says. The glow rises higher, spilling over the edge of the well like it's trying to remember the shape of the world above it. The widow stares at it, breath unsteady. What do you want? She asks it. No answer. Only pressure. Only light. The child steps closer to her now, not the well. It didn't come for you, he says softly. It came from you. They stand away from the well now, but neither of them moves back toward the house. The widow's breathing is uneven, controlled only by habit. The child watches her face more than the land around them. You're going to keep pretending, he asks. She doesn't answer right away. I'm not pretending, she says finally. Then you're lying, he replies. She turns on him fast. Don't talk like you know me. I know what you did out here. That stops her for half a second. Not fear. Recognition of being seen too clearly. Go back inside, she says. No, I said go. And I said no. He doesn't raise his voice. That makes it worse. She steps closer, low and sharp. You are not my problem. The child looks at her calmly. I didn't say I was. A beat. You are mine, he adds. Her jaw tightens. You don't belong to anyone. Neither do you. That lands heavier than she wants it to. She looks away toward the dark ground near the well. The glow has faded slightly, but not gone. It lingers like a bruise under dirt. You should leave, she says again, quieter this time. I won't. You're not safe here. Neither are you. He says it like a fact, not a warning. A long silence stretches between them. The wind shifts, but the air still feels wrong. What do you want from me? She asks finally. The question sounds tired, not angry. The child shakes his head. Nothing. That confuses her more than anything else. Then why stay? She asks. He looks at the well once, then back at her. You already asked me to. She doesn't respond. The memory hits her too clearly now. The door. The first night. The plate on the table. The way she didn't shut it fully. That's not how it happened, she says, but her voice is weaker. It is, he answers. She turns away, pacing once, then stopping. You think I can fix this? She asks. No, you think I can bury it again? No, then what? Her voice cracks slightly at the end. That annoys her more than anything else. The child steps closer, slow. You can stop fighting it alone. She laughs once, sharp and empty. You think you're company? No, then what are you? He pauses. Something that didn't leave. That silence hits deeper than she wants to admit. She looks toward the house again. The windows look darker now. Like they're watching back. If I keep you, she says slowly, people will come. They already did. The sheriff will come back. He already knows. And if he takes you? Her voice lowers. Then I answer for it. The child tilts his head slightly. You already answer for everything. That makes her stop. For a moment, neither speaks. The wind pushes low across the field. Somewhere far off, something like a knock echoes again. Not near. Not loud. Just present enough to be noticed. She exhales. You don't understand what this costs. I do. No, you don't. She turns to him again, eyes sharp now. People die around things like you. People already died around you. That line lands like a blade she didn't expect. Her hand lifts slightly, then drops again. Not anger. Not restraint. Something closer to exhaustion. I buried what happened, she says. No, he corrects softly. You left it down there. That makes her glance toward the well again. The glow is faint, but still there, like it never fully agreed to leave. If I send you away, she says, does it stop? The child answers immediately. No. She nods once, like she already knew that answer. And if I keep you? Then it stays honest. That confuses her. Honest, she repeats. It stops hiding. The wind rises again. The widow closes her eyes briefly. When she opens them, her voice is steadier. One night, she says. That's what I gave you. It already changed, he replies. She looks at him for a long moment. Then back at the house. Then the well. Then the ground between them, like she's trying to decide which part of her life is still real. Fine, she says finally. Stay. The word doesn't feel like kindness. It feels like surrender. The child doesn't smile. He just nods once. It hurt you, he says. She doesn't ask what he means. She already knows. Behind them, the well gives a soft, slow creak, like something settling into place again. Not leaving. Not arriving. Just deciding to remain. The widow walks back into the house without speaking. The child follows a step behind, not rushing, not hesitant. The door closes and the sound feels heavier than before, like it lands differently now. The air inside is still, but not calm. It's waiting. You shouldn't have said that, the widow says without turning. Said what? The child asks. She stops in the middle of the room. That it stays. The child looks around slowly. It was already staying. A low creak moves through the walls. Not from one place. From everywhere at once. The widow presses her fingers against her forehead. Stop it, she mutters, but she doesn't know what she's talking to anymore. The child tilts his head slightly. It's waking up, he says. No, she answers quickly. It doesn't wake up. It does when you stop lying to it. She turns on him fast. Don't talk like you own this place. The child doesn't react. I don't own it. A beat. It remembers me. That word again. Remembers. The widow steps back, eyes flicking to the hallway. The dark feels thicker there now, like it's holding shape. I built this place with nothing, she says. Then it has less to lose, he replies. A faint whisper passes through the walls. Not words. Almost. The widow hears it anyway. Her shoulders tense. No, she says under her breath. No, I'm not doing this again. The child watches her carefully. You already did it again, he says. When, she snaps. When you let me in. Silence drops hard between them. A chair shifts somewhere behind them in the kitchen. Slow. Deliberate. The widow doesn't turn this time. Don't, she says quietly, like warning something she refuses to face. The child looks toward the sound. It likes you, he says. That's not funny. It's not laughing. The whisper grows louder for a moment. Still not clear. Still not a voice. But it carries shape now, like memory trying to speak through walls that refuse it. The widow's breathing changes. I don't hear anything, she lies. The child steps closer to the hallway. You do, he says. You just don't answer. That hits something in her. She follows him without meaning to. The hallway feels longer than it should. The door at the end, old, half-closed, looks darker than before. Don't go near that room, she says. Her voice is lower now. I'm not going in, he replies. I'm listening. A soft knock comes from inside the walls again. One tap. Then another. The widow freezes. Stop it, she whispers. Please. The child turns slightly toward her. It doesn't listen to please. Then what does it listen to, she asks before she can stop herself. A pause. The knock comes again. 3 slow taps. Truth, he says. That word lands heavy. The widow shakes her head once. There's nothing in there, she says. Then open it, he replies. No immediate. Final. Too fast. The child steps closer to the door. Not touching it. Just near it. You buried more than one thing here, he says. Stop, she warns. You buried what you didn't want to feel. Stop talking. And it learned your house instead. The widow moves quickly now, grabbing his arm. You don't touch that door, she says. You don't open anything in this house. The child looks at her hand on his arm. It already opened, he says. The door creaks behind them. Both of them go still. The widow doesn't turn. No, she says again, softer this time. Like she's trying to undo reality by refusing it. The child watches the hallway. It knows we're here, he says. The whisper rises again, clearer now but still broken. Not a sentence. Not yet. The widow's voice drops. I buried it right, she says, but it sounds like she's asking instead of telling. The child shakes his head slightly. You buried it angry, he says again. The hallway dark shifts. Not moving. But agreeing. The widow closes her eyes for a second. When she opens them, her voice is quiet. What do I do, she asks, not to the child. To the house. Or whatever is inside it. The child answers anyway. Listen. And for the first time, the house feels like it might answer back in full. The widow stands in the hallway long after the whisper fades. The child is still beside her, but he feels farther away than before. The house is quiet again, yet it is not empty of sound. It is holding something back. You keep saying it remembers, she says. Her voice is lower now. Controlled, but worn. The child nods once. It does. What does that even mean, she asks. He looks at the dark door at the end of the hall. It keeps what people don't finish. She laughs once, but there's no humor in it. Nothing I did here is unfinished. The child turns his head slightly. That's not true. That makes her stop talking. A long silence stretches between them. The widow watches him now more carefully. You're not just some hungry kid, she says finally. He doesn't answer right away. No, he says at last. Her eyes narrow slightly. Then what are you? The child takes a slow breath. I'm what stays. She repeats it under her breath. What stays? After people leave, he adds. The widow steps back slightly. That's not an answer. It is, he says. It just doesn't feel like one. The house creaks softly around them. Not loud. Not dramatic. Just present. The widow rubs her arms like the air has changed temperature. Everyone leaves, she says. Not everything, the child replies. She shakes her head. You don't make sense. You didn't want sense, he says quietly. That hits harder than it should. A sound comes from the floorboards. A slow shift. Like something adjusting underneath them. The widow looks down instinctively. Stop it, she whispers. The child looks down too, then back up. It's not me. She studies his face now. Not anger. Not fear. Something steadier. Then what are you? She asks again, softer this time. He hesitates. I'm what gets left behind when people stop saying sorry. That makes her go still. For a moment, neither of them speaks. The hallway feels tighter now, like the walls have leaned in slightly. The widow turns away first. I buried people, she says. Yes. I did what I had to. Yes. He doesn't argue. She turns back sharply. Don't agree with me like that. It's not agreement, he says. It's memory. That word lands deep. The widow exhales, shaky now. You weren't there, she says. Not then. Then how do you know? She asks. The child looks past her toward the back of the house. Because it doesn't change. A faint knock echoes from somewhere inside the structure of the house. Not the door. Not the hallway. Inside the walls themselves. The widow stiffens immediately. No, she says under her breath. Not again. The child steps forward slightly, but not toward her. Toward the sound. It's closer now, he says. What is it? She demands. Her voice is sharper again, but there's fear underneath it now. He doesn't answer right away. The knock comes again. Slower. Heavier. It's not one thing, he says finally. It's what you kept avoiding. The widow's jaw tightens. I didn't avoid anything. The child looks at her directly now. You avoided the part that didn't die clean. That sentence breaks something in her expression, just slightly. Not fully. But enough. I did what I had to, she says again, weaker this time. So did everyone, he replies. That's not special. The house creaks louder now, like something shifting its weight for the first time in a long time. The widow steps back toward the kitchen without realizing it. If I tell you to leave, she says, does it stop? The child shakes his head. No. Then why are you here? She asks. Because you opened the door, he says. Silence drops again. The widow looks at him for a long moment. Then past him. Then at the house itself. I didn't mean to, she says quietly. That doesn't matter, he replies. It hurt you anyway. A slow knock echoes once more, then stops. The widow closes her eyes briefly. When she opens them again, her voice is barely steady. So what now? She asks. The child answers without hesitation. Now it stops hiding from you. The house is quiet, but it no longer feels like silence. It feels like something held back, waiting for permission to speak again. The widow stands in the middle of the room, not moving, like movement might break whatever is left of control. The child is near the hallway, still, watching her instead of the dark. You said it won't stop, she says. Her voice is flat now. Tired in a way that has nothing left to fight. No, the child answers. Then what changes? She asks. He looks at her for a long moment. You. That word lands heavier than anything before it. The widow shakes her head once. I don't change, she says. Everyone changes, he replies. Some just refuse longer. A faint sound moves through the house again, but softer now. Not knocking. Not dragging. Something closer to breathing. The widow hears it and closes her eyes briefly. When she opens them, she looks older than before. I didn't ask for this, she says. The child nods. You didn't. I let you in because you were hungry, she adds. Yes. That's all. No, he says quietly. That's not all anymore. Silence stretches between them. The kind that doesn't feel empty, just full of things neither of them wants to name. The widow walks slowly toward the table. Her hand touches the wood, then pulls back like she regrets it. If I tell you to go, she says again, but softer this time, will you? The child doesn't answer right away. That pause says more than words. No, he says finally. She exhales sharply, like something in her expected that but still hoped against it. So I'm trapped with you now, she asks. No, he replies. You're just not alone. That makes her stop completely. She turns her head slightly toward him. I've been alone a long time, she says. I know, he answers. No judgment. No comfort. Just fact. A slow sound rises again from the house, but it doesn't grow. It settles. Like it's listening instead of pushing. The widow notices that shift too. It's quieter, she says. The child nods. Because you stopped pretending it wasn't here. She looks toward the hallway. The dark door at the end feels less like a threat now and more like something waiting to be understood. And if I keep pretending, she asks. The child answers immediately. Then it stays wrong. A long pause follows. The widow's shoulders drop slightly, like something in her has finally accepted weight it has been carrying too long. I don't know how to fix this, she admits. The words feel unfamiliar in her mouth. The child steps closer, but not too close. You don't fix it, he says. Then what do I do, she asks. He watches her carefully. You stay. That word hangs in the room longer than anything else has. Stay where, she asks quietly. Here, he says. With me? With it, he corrects. The widow lets out a breath that almost becomes a laugh but doesn't finish. That's not a life, she says. It is, he replies. Just not the one you planned. The house creaks once, but softly. Almost like agreement instead of warning. The widow looks at the table again, then at the empty chair, then at the hallway. Everything in her life feels like it is sitting in the same room now, refusing to be ignored. If I say yes, she asks, does it end? The child shakes his head once. No. That honesty should have pushed her away. It doesn't. She looks at him for a long time. The child doesn't move. Doesn't plead. Just waits like he always has. Finally, she nods once. Small. Controlled. Stay, she says. The word doesn't sound like kindness. It sounds like acceptance of something she cannot remove. The house responds with a long, low settling sound. Not relief. Not anger. Something closer to recognition. The child doesn't smile. He just exhales, slow. It heard you, he says. The widow looks around the room one last time, then back at him. And now, she asks. The child meets her eyes. Now it stops being a secret. Outside, nothing changes. But inside, nothing can go back.